Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us this morning to our February VTLA session. It's on crisis management and operational leadership. We're glad you're with us. We have four experts in this area, and we're going to get started because we have a lot to do and cover in this short time period. So, the format is as we've been doing. Since the beginning, we're going to start with hot topic discussions, where some discussions where you get to pick which session you want to go to. We're going to then go into our topic, crisis management, operational leadership. We're going to start with Rob Graham from Pulaski and Garrett Smith from a retired superintendent from Stanton City. They're going to go over some of the experiences they've had. We're going to then break into our action planning circles, where you're going to talk about have a chance to talk about crisis management, operational leadership, talk about where your division is with that, um, what what you're experiencing, and what help you might get from the group. And then we're going to come back and we're going to hear from Lori Mueller and Shelley Evers from the Donovan Group and the Center for School and Campus Safety. And you're going to lead with a wealth of resources and tools. I can promise you that. So you're going to hear from experienced superintendents that have experienced these things, and you're going to lead with a lot of tools. So let's get started um, with our hot topics. You all had a chance to talk about whatever group you went into the topic and get some expertise on how to move forward in that area, or some ideas for if you have to have remote learning, if you have to do that again, what you might do, and some creative ways to do that, or how to recruit and retain your educators, and or if you went to budget. We had a good between the three of those: remote learning, educator recruitment, retention, and budget. We had a good number of people going to those. So good. Okay. So again, at the end there'll be a survey. You can always email me topics that you'd like to discuss in March. I came up with those on my own just because I didn't get any from you all this time, but I was just going by what time of the year it is, which you all might be experiencing. So, okay, we're now going to jump into what you're here for to learn about this month. You should have received your navigator on February 1st or 2nd with key strategies for with working with crisis management and operational leadership. I'm not going to read those to you. We're going to go in and get right with Rob Graham and Garrett Smith to talk about as superintendents what they've experienced with this. So Rob, I'm going to start with you, and you just tell me when to change slides. Let me.
All right. Thank you, Amy. Good morning, everybody. I'm Rob Graham, as Amy said, and I'm superintendent in Pulaski County. This is my third year in Pulaski. It's my 12th year as a superintendent and 34th year as an educator. And just really glad to be with you all this morning. And I hope the information that I present is beneficial to you. So, Amy, you can thank you. And just had this PowerPoint for you because I do think I review this yearly because sometimes it does change. And we do want to make sure that we're in compliance with everything that we're doing as far as safety. I know as superintendents, our number one priority is the safety of our students and staff. And this Code of Virginia does provide you with a lot of information on exactly what is needed and does help you with, you know, giving you ideas of resources that you may want to implement in your school division. So if you have a chance, I would urge you to take a look at that and to really review it. And if you have questions, and I know most of you have coaches, I would recommend that you talk to your coach about those two. So Amy, thank you.
Mhm.
And then of course these are drills that we all are that we all have to perform every year, and audits and threat assessments that we have to conduct too. I do want to really, and Shelley brought this one to my attention too, that the newest one that we have, and really not very new anymore, is the cardiac response plan and drill, and that's something that you have to do annually. In addition to the fire drills and lockdown drills, tornado drills, and bus evacuation drills, but that is something that was new to me as an experienced superintendent. So I know that we had to have the defibrillators and things of that nature in our schools, but the cardiac response plan is something that we have to look at as well. So glad she brought that up to me too. And of course, as we talked about in our remote learning session that we just had, communications with the community, with our staff, with our students is so important, and that's something that they value tremendously. So in Pulaski, early on in my tenure here, is we had some difficult challenges, and one of those was started in October, and that was some very serious threats that were significant to Pulaski County and generic to Pulaski County too, and things that we really had to take very seriously because they were made towards our schools, towards our staff. Ended up having to shut down schools 2 Fridays in a row. There were 2 Fridays where I was in the sheriff's office most of the day, most of the evening, trying to figure out where these threats were coming from and if they were legitimate or not. So it did shut down schools and something very concerning. And then on November 4th, not much longer after that, we had one of the largest cyber attacks on the East Coast in Pulaski County that luckily it didn't shut our schools down. We were able to keep one large infrastructure technology resource with us, and we were on fall break for a little bit too. So we were able to try to patch things up as quickly as we could to allow school to continue. But it did cause a lot of devastation in electronic learning or remote learning, or even learning through electronic methods in school. We're down for about 2 weeks until we could get those back up. So as a superintendent, I thought, you know what, I need to do everything that I can to try to make our schools as safe as possible. So met with our leadership team, and we decided to, because these things are expensive on what we're doing, decided to really look at grants and what we could do to apply for grants that would save us from using our operational monies in order to really put some measures in place. And this is what we have come up with in the last 2 years. So Amy, if you don't mind. The first thing that we did is we know that we have to have good partnerships with local law enforcement, emergency services, and then communities and families. So we engaged them. We have a safety committee that we met with probably 4 or 5 times before we started moving forward with the resources that we wanted to do. We are very lucky in Pulaski County. We have a SRO at every one of our schools and 2 that are in our middle and high school, and that's unusual. Coming from Radford City, we only had one in our high schools and middle schools, one shared at our high school and middle school. So having that, and we have a phenomenal relationship with actually the lieutenant who's in charge of our SROs also serves as an SRO when one of our SROs has to be out. So it's very unusual partnership and very lucky to have that too. So we met with them, and this is what we came up with as far as resources for our school system.
Oops.
This is, go ahead, Amy.
Okay.
Thank you. This is Todd Saunders. He was a former sheriff's officer and a former supervisor for the SROs, and he retired 2 years ago, and we employed him now as our safety consultant. And that was something that we are using as a grant to employ him, and luckily he's only charging us to pay for his insurance, and that's a great deal for him because he is very versed on safety, and he runs our safety committee meetings. He will jump in and serve as a substitute for an SRO, but most importantly, he runs not the DCJS safety audits because we do those with our SROs and our administration, but he also conducts safety audits for all of our schools where he goes in and surveys the school and finds things that we need to really fix. For example, at Pulaski Elementary School, he went there and was really concerned about the opening that we have to the wide opening that we have to the entrance of our school, was concerned about the shrubbery that's grown a lot since the school had opened and never been really manicured or landscaped there too. So he picks up really neat things not neat things, but good things that we need to take care of, and are able to do that with his expertise, and a very valuable commodity at a very inexpensive price for that too. So we're lucky to have him with us. Now he also sits on our division threat assessment team, and he will come and do any type of, if we ask for threat assessments that are very significant in nature, he will come and sit on those as well. So he is part-time, but he does work way over what we consider part-time. And then we are lucky enough to partner with the county, and the county supports us with this financially on a situational awareness and response assistant. That's basically a software that we have in each of our classrooms, and it's on all of our teachers' computers. And they at any time, there's 5 buttons on there. They can anytime there's a crisis in their classroom, they can go to their computer and they can or their laptop or their Chromebook, and they can click a button. It could be anything from a classroom emergency to an intruder. And once they click that button, it notifies those that need to come to the classroom and provide support as necessary. And we also have on our lanyards now every principal and nurse and counselor and those that are on the safety committee teams at the schools, they all have a fob now that if there's a real dire emergency, they can press the fob and it'll hit 911, and then help is on the way from multiple organizations, fire rescue, EMT, more of our law enforcement. In Pulaski, we have a sheriff's department, we have the town of Pulaski Police, and we have the town of Dublin Police. So there's a lot that show up if there's an emergency or not. And Amy, if you'll go to the next slide, that's kind of what you see when that button is pushed. Are you sure you want to send a classroom emergency? And you hit OK, and boom, it's gone, and then the cavalry arrives, and it's pretty quick here in Pulaski, luckily, even though we're very rural. And then we've also in some of the conferences I've gone to on safety with the DCGAS and others, learned that it is so vital to have your not only you want your buildings to be aesthetically pleasing, but you don't want anybody to see into your building. So we have gotten all of our elementary and high school and middle schools screening, and very nice screening too that you can see from the outside that highlights who they are and what their mascots are. You can go around to any of the windows that we have, and there's film on them that you can't see in through, at least 6 to 7 feet high, which it allows protection for our school division, and it allows nobody that really wants to do any harm to the schools not to be able to see in and see who's there. So we've done that. It's taken us about 1.5 years to put everything together. And be honest with you, that's not a bad price to have that done. And everybody, our community is very excited about it, because when they do pull up, they get to have a little pride scene with the mascots and colors and things that they have with their schools too. So thank you, Amy. And then we did vestibules 2 years ago as well. All of our elementary schools, they did not have a vestibule. You could walk right in and go right into the hallways of our buildings, which was very concerning. And now you can see that we have a vestibule in all of our, we did have them in our middle and high school, but we did not have them in our elementary schools. So now we have them in our elementary schools. So folks have to buzz in, they have to show their ID, they come into the building, and they are not allowed into the office or into the hallways unless they have an appointment with whoever. You can see there, it's almost like a bank type of situation where you can drive up to the window and get the scrolling coming out to you and put whatever and talk to that's exactly the way we designed it here. So if a parent wants to drop off a lunch, they have to enter in through all the emergency features that we have, come in, talk to our receptionist, and then they can put their lunchbox for their child into that little area right there, and they'll pull it back in and give it to their student too. So that has worked out very well. It's something that our community has found very valuable too. They love the fact that they do get to get into the building, but it is secure when they're in there. And actually, in this picture right here, as you walk in the door, with the vestibules, all of our SROs are now to the exact right of that. So that's the first person they see when they enter the building is our SRO, which is very important to us too. And then, as I was talking about earlier, this is Pulaski Elementary School. You can see without the bollards there, it's very wide entrance. You could drive a truck through there, and we were very concerned about that. So we purchased bollards, and we have a great maintenance team in Pulaski. They actually installed them all. So all of our schools now have bollards in them, and somebody that would want to come in through the entrance through a vehicle of some sort are really going to have to figure out a unique way to get there before they are able to get into the doors and get into the vestibules area there. We were really concerned. This is actually, I have a students advisory committee, which I would recommend to anybody. They have some wonderful, wonderful ideas. This was an idea that came from them. Our high school, Pulaski County High School, has a CTE building on one end and the general ed building on the other, and it was a breezeway when I first got here. So the students had to go outside, and there wasn't any adults that would go with them from one area to the other. And it's probably a football field to get to from one side to the other. And so they asked if we would enclose the breezeway, and that's something that we did. Now, we did not, weren't able to find a grant for this, so this was paid out of operational monies at a tune of about $750,000. Luckily, our capital improvement plan, we were able to do this, but we covered the entire breezeway, and it is a much better environment, and they are so happy to be able. Plus, it's warmer. You know, in the cold that we've had the last 2 weeks, it's been a lot warmer for them to walk from one area to the other. So if you go to the next slide, Amy, that's what we had before on the outside. So all of that is now covered. There's doors that have been added, security features that have been added. Again, now parents have to show their ID while they're outside in order to get into the breezeway. And then again, in order to get into the offices of both sides, the far doors down to the end there also have a vestibule to go into to the CTE building. So went from a very unsecure part of our campus at the high school to very, very secure campus. And this is something that I found at a conference that I thought was just really unique. You know, on some of the school shootings that we've heard about all over the country now, and that terrible one in Canada that we just recently saw, these are called Code Red guards, and again, not very expensive, but it's in some of the shootings that they've had, intruders have been able to get into the building. And even with the classroom doors locked, most classroom doors have the windows that people can see into, and they've been able to shoot out that window or bang out that window and get into the classroom and do some damage. These are actually metal protection, bulletproof protection slides that you can move over the window in case of an emergency. So there's no way possible that any intruder could come in and shoot out a window now and get into the classroom. So when those classrooms are barricaded and locked, they are safe with students in them. And we have these throughout all of our schools. It took us about 6 months to get them in there. And again, not very expensive at all. And a grant helped us with this one too. So very excited about these. Our staff does use them during assessment time too, to really make it a very private situation for testing too. And these are a weapon detection system. I know you all know you're seeing these pop up everywhere when you have those VSBA news and of our VAS announcements. These are the evolved technology weapon detection systems, and they'll pick up about anything, anything from a vape to a knife to a gun. And all of our students at the middle and high school, parents, community members, they go through these. We use them at our football stadium for football games. We use them at our basketball gym for basketball events. They are wonderful. You may think, you know, when we implemented these, we implemented them in December of last year. We did not tell our students that we were going to implement them, and you would, as they were coming, you would see them taking things out of their book bag and throwing them into the bushes. And we found a ton of really interesting items coming from students' backpacks. But it did take us for about a week, some time to get them into the building. But now it's just like we don't even have them there, and they're second nature. And in talking to our students advisory committee, they really feel that these are valuable because they feel protected, knowing that nobody can come into the building without being checked first. And then we updated our security cameras. We have security cameras everywhere, but now they're AI induced in certain locations. We picked out the locations that we felt were the most unsupervised, or the incidents that we had, behavior incidents that we have were very high, and we put AI images in there. And if there's like a fight in this hallway right here, the principals will be notified on their phones immediately, and we'll have a video, so we don't have to go and search for the video after the fight is over. We have it right on spot, and it's been very good to help us with parents that come in and say, "Oh, no, my child did not fight," and we can pull it right up and show them exactly what that is, and these were with a grant too, and not very expensive. We have about we purchased about 150 for each of our middle school and high school. We do not have those in elementary schools. And that's just that's what we have on the outside of all of our schools. We have the button to push to alert the receptionist that a parent or a community member is there. They have to speak into, and I'm sure all of you have these, have to speak into the microphone there in order to get into the building. They have to show their ID. We have a window there in case there's a need for us to come out and speak to the adult if there's a reason that they won't come in. And once they show us their ID and they tell us why we're there and it's all safe, we let them in. And then of course we have a badge system for all of our employees that we use in order to get in. So all of our schools, we use these. All of our schools are locked the entire school day, and the only way you can get in is through a badge. And then I think one of the things in Pulaski that we do very, very well is that we really look at what else can we do to improve the safety of our schools. And I'm not going to read those to you, but two of the things that we're doing right now is we've realized that transportation has become somewhat unsafe for us. So we're working with a company called Bus Patrol to put some cameras on some of our buses because we do have folks that are passing our buses when children are getting off. And the Bus Patrol put videos on the camera on buses that you're having the biggest problems with, and they will video the person passing the bus, and then they will send a citation to that person, and that we actually get some of the revenue from that. And then we have some speed enforcement cameras that we're working with the sheriff's department too to put in our school zones, so that if, like today, when coming to school this morning, I was going through Pulaski County Middle School, and the school zone there, the speed is 25 or maybe 35. But one of the folks passed me going about 52 miles an hour, and so we'll have cameras up now that will catch those folks that are speeding through the school zones, and they actually get citations too that they have to pay, and we do get a percentage of that payment too. So again, we're trying to figure out what else we can do we don't want our schools to look like prisons, and they don't. If you ever came to Pulaski, we're very lucky. We have very modern schools, and they look great, but we are doing everything we can to make them as safe as possible.
Yeah, Robin, remind me, did you say this is your second year in Pulaski?
This is my third.
Third year. So you can see in the short time, Rob, now he was in Rafford's before that, but the short time he's been in Pulaski, look at all that's been done in regards to safety and security. And he's really utilized the community and their resources in a great way. So, if you please reach out to Rob if you want any advice or recommendations from him. If you've seen the things that he's been doing and you want to know more, I know he'll be glad
Or
to
come
share.
visit. We'd love to have you.
Oh yeah, he always has people visiting. So thank you, Rob, for that. Now, what you'll see in this presentation is with crisis management, there are all types of crisis, right? There's active shooters. That's what we normally think of, I think. But there's also, like Rob mentioned, the cyber attack, and then there's the community issues that become so politically debated that becomes dangerous. So we're gonna turn it over now to Garrett. That's what you're gonna love about this whole session is you're gonna hear all different types of scenarios. So Garrett, you're up next.
All right, thanks, Amy. A great job, Rob. A really comprehensive approach to school safety and so many good ideas in that presentation. So Rob kind of gave you some great ideas, nuts and bolts, and then, even extending to new ideas he's picked up along the way. I'm just going to tell you all a story about when I came to Stanton to be the superintendent in 2017. And the new superintendents know that the headhunters for these jobs, they tell you what you're getting into before you get there, right? So I knew we had unaccredited schools, including one elementary school that had been unaccredited for several years. We had a high school that was in terrible condition. Every time it rained, the roofs would all leak. There were big trash cans out there and everything. So the city council had approved $40 million for a high school renovation. And keep in mind, the high school itself was an old junior high school. So, the classrooms weren't even big enough for high school size kids and all those things. So 40 million, but there was also really heating up in the city. If we're going to redo the school, if we're going to do that, then we want to revisit the name, because the name of the school was Robert E. Lee. It had the name of our mascots were the Fighting Leemen and the Lee Ladies, and it had been that way since 1914, when the Daughters of the Confederacy came and put pressure on the school board at the time. So again, I knew what I was getting into, and I thought, what a great opportunity to impact change. So yeah, there it is, 1914. Up until that time, Black students went to a separate high school, Booker T. Washington High School. And you can see on the right side that it was a unanimous decision and that the school was integrated in 1968. So the other things that had happened, the first two here happened the year before I came to Stanton, and the other one happened 6 weeks after I got to Stanton. So Stanton made national news for two incidents that was just feeding the name restoration debate, the name change debate. I say name restoration because it used to be Stanton High School, and eventually it got put back to Stanton High School. So I think that's actually more accurate than a name change debate. It's a name restoration debate. But what happened? The principal at Robert E. Lee High School made national headlines on Halloween when he dressed up as Donald Trump and had his secretary dress up as Hillary Clinton in prison garb. If you remember that election cycle back then, I think she actually had handcuffs and everything. So that was a big deal. And then we also had an incident at our middle school where a teacher was teaching about Louisiana Purchase, and she decided that she would have all the Black students in her classes play the slaves in the skit. And obviously that didn't go over well in the community either. And then 6 weeks after I got here, the Unite the Right rally happened in Charlottesville. And we had a big meeting with all of the city leaders to say, now we have this high school name debate going on. How are we going to be able to present something like what happened in Charlottesville from happening in Stanton? So we did engage a partner. We ended up partnering with the Virginia Center for Inclusive Communities out of Richmond. We laid out a year-long plan because our school board meetings were just crazy at the time with people on both sides of the issue. So it was probably my second or third school board meeting. I got up and I said, here's our year-long approach, and we're going to do this, and we're going to finish it all out. And it helped. It kind of helped, at least with the craziness at the school board meetings, that we were taking it on, and people understood on both sides that, we were going to study this issue. When in doubt, teach. That's what we always say, right? As superintendents, when in doubt, teach. Remember, we're teachers first. So we did diversity inclusion training with all of our staff. We formed equity teams at our schools. We did focus groups and 2 community listening sessions. Ooh, those were something else across the course of the year. And then we made sure that students had input and about how they were feeling. And then, the famous Mike Tyson quote. So over the course of that year, a school board election took place in the spring, our year of study on the issue. And the way that it came out, and it's not surprising in Stanton, all 4 candidates who won were more progressive candidates. And they all said if elected, they would be in favor of changing the name of the high school. We had an idea that we could make the high school partial new construction and partial renovation. It was going to cost us $6 million more. So that made people even angrier when the city council approved $6 million more for the project. Sounds like a bargain these days, doesn't it? $46 million for a high school. So after that happened, and of course the Unite the Right rally, the sign campaigns began. You saw it on the first slide. You were either save the name or but the name hurts. People were upset that it was going to cost more money, that we were going to have to change our uniforms and signage and all of those things. And it really became a national story. So we had to, we had our emergency folks monitoring the dark web and everything before school board meetings, to see if there were any valid threats. And I think this next one's that recording, isn't it, Amy?
Oh, yeah.
I saved one for you. I tried to bleep out all the cuss words, but I just want to give you guys.
Okay, so this recording comes with a warning.
Yes. I just want you to understand how hot it was at the time.
And this is as loud as I can.
Everything was getting
Okay.
FOIA, every email, text. It was ridiculous.
Okay, so our rate
received today at 10:04 a.m.
I am a proud Virginian. I'm proud of my heritage and proud of my ancestors. You sorry bastards that are trying to erase our history, you four, I hope you die painfully. You have no right to change our history, our names for our schools, our streets. If I could have showed up last night, I would have punched each and every one of you in the mouth because you have no right to destroy our history and our heritage. You don't like it? Get the hell out of the South. I don't care if you are a descendant of the slave. If you're a true descendant of the slaves, then you know that slaves helped fight for the South. You're a bunch of uneducated morons. You need to get your head out of here, pack your shit, and get the out of the South. I hope somebody stomps y'all.
End of message.
Nice, huh? And he really knows his history too. So the community is heating up. Editorials, ads, businesses are jumping into it. Signs are getting vandalized on both sides. Some businesses say they're being boycotted because they have the sign, and lots of social media squabbles. It was hot. We had to go in our school board meetings to plainclothes officers inside the meetings and uniformed officers outside the meetings and in the parking lot. And this is just, here's the one person's point of view who's on the side of save the name. And then here's another person's point of view who came right after the school was integrated. Behind the scenes, the security measures I mentioned, emergency planning with the city. I told you about the dark web monitoring from the Virginia Fusion Center. And, we had to keep everybody informed and updated the whole time. They demanded it. The recommendations from VCIC, be transparent about the name change process and the cost. And really the cost for new uniforms, if I'm remembering correctly, was about $500,000. Engage the alumni in the community, preserve history. We did do that. We ended up having 3 high schools. We had Booker T. Washington, the old Robert E. Lee, and the old Stanton and new Stanton High School. And so at Stanton High School now, all the schools are honored with trophy cases and things like that. So we made sure everybody, no one was forgotten in the restoration process. And then we knew that, equity in schools is when all of your students are performing well, regardless of disability or their address or their race or their economic status, and when we knew we had a lot of work to do on student achievement and we had to close gaps between those groups if we really wanted to quiet everything down. It's really the only way. It's always the most important thing, student achievement. So the board voted 4-2 to change the name. And then they came back the next month after we had a big discussion about, okay, I understand it's divided, but whatever the new name's going to be, we need to be united on that. And the board came together 6-0 to return the school to its original name, Stanton High, which the community also favored. So some of the lessons learned, be prepared for worst case scenario, understand, and it's really hard to get school board members to understand everything's getting FOIA'd, right? You can't talk about the process or what your opinions are about it. And some school board members, I don't know how many different ways I can tell you, pick up the phone and call me. Please stop sending emails about this because they're going straight to the public. Obviously, as superintendent, you have to remain politically neutral. And then you gotta keep rolling out your own story. Tell your own story or someone else will tell it for you. As we said from VCIC, being transparent, involving students in the community, and then engaging those neutral partners. Because even after it was over, VCIC still received communications from people who are on the side of saving the name, who said it was a fair process. So VCIC did a fantastic job.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Garrett. And VCIC will be at our spring conference doing a breakout session with, I think Herb is on here, with Herb and with Beth Teagan from to talk about having these courageous community conversations. So thank you, Garrett, because as you can see, and this happens not just this issue, but communities become divided over lots of issues, as you know, at this time and day. And so having a process to go through that is helpful. And you survived, Garrett. You survived it. Okay, well, thank you, Garrett. You were on mute.
Thanks, Sammy. Yeah, there were times when the board wanted to pull the plug on the process because they were under so much pressure.
Yeah.
But we said, look, we agreed to do this. We've already paid for it. It's a year long, and we're gonna finish what we started.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna now 15 minutes. We're gonna go into action planning circles using these guided questions. Garrett, Rob, Lori, and Shelley will lead these questions with you. This is a time for you all to talk about specifically crisis management and operational leadership. Here's some questions that will spark your conversations. But before you leave the 15 minutes, I want you to really be thinking, what is one high priority system you will test or rehearse in the next 60 days? Like when you leave one of our sessions, I want you to be thinking, okay, what am I going to do when I leave this session? So I'm now going to open up any questions from anybody before I randomly send you out to your breakouts. Okay, then here you go. Got so many people that you can lean on through these things. Now, next up is Shelley. And Shelley, I don't want you to feel like you have to rush. I know we're at time, but if someone needs to go because you have another appointment, we certainly understand. But I can tell you, Shelley has a wealth of resources. I've linked a lot of them in the Navigator, but Shelley, don't feel like you have to rush because if they have to step out, they will. They'll hang on if they can. So.
I can do a lot in 5 minutes. Don't
Okay.
worry. So I'm joined by my new division director, Lindsay Burton, our new crisis management coordinator, Daniel Rose, and our new behavioral threat assessment person, Robin Tuck. So we are all at your disposal. So if you don't get anything else from my part of the session, please know that we're here for you. So you can go ahead and go forward, Amy. Your plates are full. Just from today, we hear that. We know that. And it probably feels like all the check boxes that you have to do for school safety are just one more thing. But please know the data does say that it's all worth it. Students who feel physically and emotionally safe are more ready to learn, and the converse is certainly true. Students who are worried or afraid can't learn. So I've been immersed in school safety since 1997, so I'm going to share a few nuggets with you. And number one is certainly that safe schools are high achieving schools, and the data does back that up. You can go ahead and go to the next slide and even past that slide. Go ahead and go to the next one. The next nugget is that our school safety audit and climate data indicate that Virginia schools are overall very safe places, but we can make them safer. Go ahead and go to the next slide. So looking at the data, I think data drives everything, and it certainly can drive school safety information and purchases and things like that. So if you look at this 2025 climate survey, just on middle school bullying, and again, 111,700 250 students took this survey. 65% report that students or adults take action to address bullying. That means 35% do not, or they do not feel. So their perception is that 35% do not.
Whoops.
Did we lose you?
I do. Wait a minute,
That's all
keep
right.
going.
That's all right.
Let's
So
see.
basically what you see on those slides are that students perceive that bullying is an issue and the adults not quite to that degree. So all divisions have their own climate survey data unique to their division. So I encourage you to take a look at that. If you have any trouble accessing it, you should have gotten a direct report from that, but it's also available online and I can assist you. But basically, I'll just skip to the last one. For staff, bullying was seen as a problem in schools by a lower percentage than it was for students. So again, having that connection with students and having staff have the tools that they need to address bullying is something that can perhaps be an improvement. You can go to the next slide. So on relationships, 48.4% of students reported being aware that the school uses a team approach for threat assessment. So that's over 50% don't realize there's a threat assessment process in place, and it's been in place since 2013. So that's something that perhaps we can improve upon, and letting students know that it's okay to report if someone is exhibiting aberrant behavior and that there's a process in place. We can go ahead and go to the next slide. They're going to get these slides, right, Amy?
Yes. Yeah.
So insight number 3 is that targeted violence is preventable. And you can go to the next slide. Preventable in lots of ways, but I'm going to just share this one thing to you. We started collecting threat assessment data in 2013 when threat assessment teams became mandated. And as you can see, there was a steady increase in threats reported through the school safety audit. And then, of course, it dipped in 2020 during COVID and then skyrocketed right after COVID. And then it's kind of come down a little bit, but it's holding steady. And in 2025, there were 25,222 threats across all 131 divisions, 2,000 schools in Virginia, public schools. But what I can tell you is that only 1% of those threats were actually carried out. So threat assessment does work. So strengthen those teams. If you have a division team, utilize those. And certainly just know that each of those 25,222 is an opportunity for an intervention. So we think, there's a combination of things at play. Did schools get more dangerous and the threat assessments increased, or did we get better at reporting it and putting those interventions in place? And we like to think that it's the latter. So certainly pay attention to that data and be encouraged when people report, because that's an intervention opportunity. You can go to the next one. Insight number 4 is data can be your compass to school safety. There's such amazing data in our school safety audit and otherwise. You can go ahead and go to the next one. And so utilize that. And some of it can be a marketing tool. If your data doesn't back up something that someone tells you is a threat or a problem, then you can certainly show that to them. And if someone, points something out and it really is an issue, then you can use that to drive funding or resources toward that problem. And we certainly pay close attention at the Center for School and Campus Safety and let that drive our decision making. So I want to point out 2 pieces of data here. So first, on the top 15 issues identified by schools as biggest area of need and problem in their divisions, absenteeism and tardiness and skipping was at the top of the list. And then if you go to the next slide, which is the climate survey, you see that 24% of students, these were again middle school students, 201,000 middle school students, said that they missed between 1 and 10 days of school because of being afraid for a variety of reasons. So the adults say that absenteeism is the major problem, and 25% of students say they're missing because of school safety reasons. So again, it goes back to, if students don't feel safe, or their perception is that they're not safe, then they're gonna not have a good time or an easy time learning. So that's some information that bears looking into. You can go to the next one. And so again, look at your school safety audit data, look for trends and boil those insights down and focus your efforts on improvements such as the one Pulaski has done. Many great things came out of them looking across their school safety audit data and the things that were happening. So again, I will close there, but please let us be a resource to you. We so appreciate the work you're doing and the opportunity to hear firsthand from you what your issues are and how we can help. Thanks, Amy.
Yeah. And as I've said before, Shelley has a ton of resources. She has them listed on this slide, and Their school safety executive forum is in July. They have moved the week. So hopefully it's more convenient and you're able to attend and you have a team that can attend. There's so much to learn there. And when you go to when you go to that event, you're not there just with school people, you're there with law enforcement. And so it's great. So I want to thank you, Shelley, Lori, Garrett, and Rob. Just really quick run through on your superintendent evaluation. Here are the standards that stick out that can be addressed, where you could gather artifacts to address this with your school boards. I'm sure there are others that you could tie into, but these are the top three. Here are some things that you could use as artifacts in your division. You can read this as well in the Navigator and on the slides when you get them. Your executive coach should be using these 4 questions this month to talk to you about this topic. You always have the resource library, the links in here that have all the navigators and all the resources from every session we've had so far. Again, here, I'll leave it on this slide for just a minute so you can go to that QR code, fill out the survey to tell us what you think about the content you received today, what you would like to learn more of, and most importantly, so I can plan for March, what hot topics are you interested about talking about with your colleagues for about 15 minutes? Beyond these 2 slides, I'm going to leave it here so you have time to do that. There is the VT spring conference is coming up. Make sure you get registered. That information to register for that is in the newsletter and on our website. On the Sunday of the spring conference is at the Hotel Roanoke in April. We do have a dinner specifically for first and second year superintendents to help kick off the event. Sunday, 7 o'clock. It's in the Regency Overlook in the hotel. It's a very nice dinner. They do a great job. So if you're interested in that, you have an email to RSVP for that event. I'd love to see you there. So, and I believe our next, I hope everyone's had the time to open up that QR code. Next month is Operation Facilities and Capital Planning. Rob will be back. Rob's coming back. He's got a lot of, and then it'll be Melanie K. Wyatt and Matt Haas. So you'll hear from Alexandria City, Albemarle, and Pulaski. April 27th is our in-person session at the conference. It will be with executive coaches. So you and your executive coaches will be in a session together during the conference. And then May 14th, we'll have a virtual one just to reflect on the year, how it's gone your first year, how it's gone your second year, and learn from what you can do to plan for next year. So other than that, you all have a good day.